all in this together. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to throw her some curveball questions. And guys, what we're going to do, we'll start a little bit of the interview right here. And after we're wrapping up, if you have any questions, go ahead and just text them over to us. And I'm sure Holly will answer any appropriate question that you ask. This is a group that doesn't always behave. So Holly, you're warned. Here's the first one. These are questions that have come from some of the members and downtown businesses, but what drew you to interview for the WDI CEO position? And, with your background, was it, I know you've had the Fayetteville background, but what
Right.
drew you here?
Well, I think like I said, the energy of the downtown, certainly Wilmington has a great reputation. Obviously, they just got that, I'm one of those 2020 movers, I guess, since I was the last week of 2020 moving. There's something about this area that's really drawing people in. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And certainly a vibrant downtown is a huge piece of that. So being able to, be in an organization where, and, we've talked about this internally too at WDI, what's next, what's raising the bar now for WDI, and being in a position with a board that's very supportive and, obviously lots of great partners, that's attractive to me professionally as well as personally. It's personal.
It's always personal. Well, now we're going to broaden up the statement there, but based on your background, what is your vision for WDI moving forward under your leadership?
Well, we talked about that during my interview process, and that lasted 2-3 months. I mean, they were very thorough at WDI, which was good. I had not only interviews, but also to do PowerPoint presentations, via Zoom, of course. And then at the end, the final stages to come to Wilmington and interview with the group, with the executive committee. And, that came up a lot. What is your vision, and what do you think is next? And I said, well, I definitely want, while I think, there's WDI is well known for events and for, partnering with the DBA, I know on a lot of those events and initiatives. I also want us to take a really hard look at how do we get more employment centers downtown? How do we get more jobs downtown that are people that are going to spend money at those stores and at those restaurants, and, really kind of make it a more holistic approach to economic development. The kind of the retail and the restaurants and the small businesses, but also the office jobs, and trying to kind of diversify our base downtown. So the economic development piece and really raising that is important to me.
Absolutely. I guess Jean and Bobby and a lot of these people can reflect back on 30 years ago when just cleaning up the bottom floor at street level was an accomplishment. Nobody thought to go upstairs with office, or that was storage. So, that really, as you said, that's the goal, is to bring in the tech workers, the marketing firms and whatever that do eat lunch downtown and spend their money with us. But now another question they had, this was a good one. So based on your position as president, what will your first 100 days look like?
Yeah, well, just like any good president, that doesn't mean I'm in charge of everything. We have a board for that. So we do have a 38-member board at WDI, and I've been working closely, most recently with the 9-member of the executive committee. And I think we're beginning to look at that. We have our first executive committee meeting tomorrow. So telling you that I have the answers tonight before we even have a meeting tomorrow is probably a bit premature. but I do think that they're a very progressive group, and that they're willing to try new things and kind of push the envelope a little on trying to do some real development projects downtown. So I'm excited about that. I want to take a look. I don't believe in recreating the wheel, and I want to take a look at what we've done in the past and what has and hasn't worked. Talk with people like you, Terry, and like our other partners around, and kind of see, where does WDI fit in the big picture of things, and how do we partner? And there's plenty, and Eris and I talked about this too. There's plenty of work to go around in building Wilmington and making it great. How do we figure out who does what? And I know, I have on my list to meet Gerard and Tracy at Genesis Block. I know there are just so many amazing organizations that are working together. So I want it to be a really collaborative 100 days where I meet with people, find out what there is to do, and figure out how we can best help them.
Great answer. Perfect. Um, well, and some of this may sound a little redundant, but what does economic development to our downtown mean to you is the question, because
Yeah.
we jokingly say our outreach to bring in tech companies or really lure people to downtown Wilmington, we're really good at saying welcome y'all when they show up. But how do you foresee bringing them here so we can be welcoming?
Yeah, I think we have a great sales proposition with downtown Wilmington. You know, all the elements are there. It creates, just like we have, you know, and the ribbon cutting and grand opening for Quipt for their new expansion and the Cotton Exchange on Thursday. And, you know, there are so many neat things happening in terms of jobs generation and expansion downtown, that I think building upon that and telling the story of there's a lot of investment being made here now. You know, where can we make you, you know, where can we make you best fit? What best fits your company's model? Because I think it is a great place to live and work. You know, residential too. You mentioned the growth, the tremendous growth. So you know, I was very excited to buy downtown and, you know, get a house and just really, you know, if you're gonna preach it, you got to live it, right? And so I said, it's you know, investing in downtown is something that I think is really something that we can go after. We don't have to just kind of wait until somebody tells us. We can take our pick.
That's awesome. The last question that I've gotten from the group thus far was, well, this you broached on a little bit, but once the event gathering restrictions have been lifted, can you tell us if at some point if WDI plans to continue the Sundown Concert program? I know it's been in flux.
Yeah, I probably can at some point. I probably can't on day 6. You know, I think again, just the executive committee and trying to kind of find our way and what is it that we want to do. And you know, like any good nonprofit organization, your resources are limited. So you know, what makes the most sense and what's going to give the most bang for the buck in the downtown economy? What's going to really move the needle for downtown? And so kind of deciding what those things are, and you know, what we can do and what we can't do, and what's next. You know, we're going to talk through all of those things.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Guys, that's it for the list of questions. I mean, Holly, do you have anything you want to add before we get any questions from the screen?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that first of all, I appreciate the invitation. I was a little shocked to see that I was featured speaker this evening. You know, my impression was I was invited, but man, when you're the featured speaker, that puts a lot of pressure on first thing, especially whenever you're not really sure you know, you just find your desk. So you know, I think we're getting there. I'm excited about partnering with DBA. I know, and I saw Terry, the article that just appeared at the end of the day on the downtown grocer. And so, you know, I know WDI was also a partner in that with you and worked with you on that. And so I'd love to see how WDI and DBA can partner with you and you know, really build a true partnership and relationship in future recruitment downtown.
That is awesome. Okay, guys, any questions from the peanut gallery here today? Okay, put the wine glasses down. Here we go. No. Holly, thank you again. And actually, we've talked about.
I have a question.
Oh, Joan, go.
Holly, you may not know this yet either until you meet with your executive board, but Deborah Korb has been very instrumental through the summer and everything, and through this whole transition in keeping DBA and some other, you know, even in the businesses informed, even walking around. Are you going to have, I know she works for the MSD side. Are you going to have another person hired for admin inside?
Yeah, we haven't made any real staffing decisions yet. We are going to work with Deborah and certainly see, and I know she's been invaluable on the outreach to the businesses, and that's been a great talent and strength of hers. So we're going to try to build on that and hope to take some of those admin responsibilities off her plate. We haven't really decided, again, in 1 week how that's going to look. But I do know that Deborah has a big job to do, and we appreciate the job that she's doing for outreach to businesses. And if there's any way that we can improve upon that program, we'd love to hear about it. We're kind of trying to make that into more of less of a visiting the businesses initiative, and more of a true business retention expansion tool for the downtown.
Hey, any other questions? I
Terry.
knew Amy Grant was going to raise her hand.
Let me say something.
So Holly, welcome. I know you've only had 6 days, but I wondered how you view the issues with diversity, inclusion, and equity that have especially come up last year and this year through the lens of economic development and some of the history of Wilmington that we're still working through.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of work to be done there. I appreciate the people that are out there, really digging into that work. And I've, like I said, I've engaged with the chamber and, talked about how can we get, be more inclusive in terms of developing our business community. And, I've come from cities that are very diverse. I mean, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, that have, and have some of the same histories and struggles. I know Wilmington has that history as a base, but I do think there's a lot of great things and initiatives that are going forward now that I would like to help be a part of. I don't think you can have economic development without having inclusivity and social justice and, all of the things that you need to have to make a more equitable economic development. It's for everyone. It's not just for a few.
Bobby, were you going to ask something?
Yeah, I know everyone's struggling with coronavirus and doing restrictions and things like that, hours. The Bring It Downtown that Joan and Daniel has been on, Paul Lawler was on, a number of us, seems to have gotten fallen by the wayside. And I don't know if Margaret is in tune with what's going on with that and the money's available for marketing downtown. We just don't want it to fall by the wayside. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure if that's a question for me or for Margaret. I mean, I can say that we certainly want to do whatever we can for Bring It Downtown to make sure that it stays alive. I do know, from just a brief conversation about it, and certainly don't know all the acronyms even yet, but I do know from Eris, and you would expect that parking revenue is going to be down this year, so I don't know what fiscal impacts that has yet to the Bring It Downtown program, but we're happy to do whatever we can to support it and make sure that stays on track.
It is budget time. And so, all of that needs to come before council. Budget time is just starting. We're just starting to have meetings to talk about that. Eris can probably address something maybe better than I can.
I think in our parking budget, we're still including the Bring It Downtown funds. How you design the marketing program, I think, Holly, it's up to you, but we are preparing for it as we always have, provided that we can have the funds to sustain.
And Terry, I mean, for all, whatever, if the parklet program is something that's still of interest, the designer Studio 111 that I think we circulated some stuff about that people liked, we're going to be bringing into town for a project that we're doing just outside of the city limits, barely. But if there's an interest of meeting with that architectural team, they'll probably be coming here within the month.
Awesome.
So
yeah, and the parklet program is, we're at the survey stage right now, trying to gather all the information, the data from the restaurants in order to put a proposal together for the city. But Paul Lawler is on the committee as well, and very graciously, Paul, I didn't mean for you to take all of the people to call, but I promise you I'll take some.
Neither, Paul, she told me.
So
Terry, before you go into Parklet, just if I can go back to Bring It Downtown, because Holly, again, is just ramping up everything, and Bobby brought it up. There is that is a wonderful joint project that DBA has three members on the task force, WGI has three members. That needs to hopefully, if it does move forward, stay intact so that, you know, that kind of task force helps put that kind of budget together of how the money is used if the city moves forward with it in their budget. Correct, Bobby? Is that true?
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. All right, any more questions for Holly? Look on the second screen. Well, Holly, I'm gonna put your feet to the fire. We need to go out and have a glass of wine, maybe next week when you're in your second week of office.
You probably will get some people that will join you too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We laughed, the board meeting we have with this organization is held on the second floor in the sofa lounge at Platypus and Nome, and it's the Mondays that Manhattans are half off. So that kind of tells you what downtown Wilmington is about. But we do restrict the board members to no more than 2 Manhattans. So, but we're so glad again that you're here. We you know, Ed did a wonderful job. He got us to a good place. He got us through the MSD program, which was very challenging. And we're glad he's in a place where he's being challenged at the next phase, and you're going to have your hands full, and we're here. DBA wants to be a team member. We want to work together. We truly believe our job as DBA is to make sure the businesses that are here know that we've got individually, we've got their back. So we're in the same position. If the economy suffers, or, you know, with the downtown alive, all of us had to worry about a paycheck, but we took care of each other, and that we know that you're here for that, and your board is as well. So that's why I'm not exaggerating. We were getting calls from Raleigh, Charlotte, Charleston, even Portland, Oregon, and nobody had done what we did here in Wilmington, but it was because businesses worked together, and we had a killer city staff that joined in and made it happen. So I think you'll be very happy working in Wilmington.
Great. I'm excited to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
I put my COVID 2 cents in? When you're talking about getting together for a glass of wine, I'm assuming you mean after the governor thinks it's okay?
After, yeah, across the room, there's no clinking glasses.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're hoping we have a life after COVID one day. Well, at this point, we're going to bring Paul up, and many of us are aware of for those of you that don't know about the trolley program, DBA worked for about 2 solid years with Wave Transit and it became a larger committee, a great committee, and from both the city staff and the private sector to realign this old dated trolley that just went up and down Front Street. And we kept saying, with all of our districts and doing the wayfinding that we've been doing, we need a trolley that can get us through each of the 5 districts, not just up and down Front. It took a lot of patience, perseverance, and the 2 new trolleys were procured. And we ended up, it wasn't exactly what we asked for. We were hoping to have more frequent, well, I'll put it this way. Right now, the buses run every 40 minutes because there's only 1 bus in the cycle. We had hoped to have 2, so they'd run on 20-minute cycles, but we were grateful for what we had. And most of you are aware now that Wave Transit has experienced fiscal challenges. It's totally changed. The board is made up primarily of county representation and city council or city staff members. And Paul has been brought in as well because he's been involved from day one with it. So we're desperately saying, please don't mess with our trolley. And we're going to let Paul take it from here because things are happening that we've been waiting just for you to say and Margaret to say, when do we need to raise the trumpet and say, don't, you know, let city and county and everybody know that this is important at downtown. Paul Lawler.
Well, thank you, Terry, and thank you all. Nice to see everybody. But I think you're right. It is time to raise the trumpet. a couple of years ago, something kind of remarkable happened. There was a trolley that had been around since 2001, and a group of people got together and said, can't we do something better with this? And we got DBA, we got WDI, we got the Arts Council, we got the Residents of Old Wilmington, we got the Tourism Agency, and some other different folks would join us from time to time. And we said, can we do something better? And we did. The other thing that was interesting, though, is we didn't approach it the way they normally approach trolleys or buses. We took a very business approach and said, what route would work best for the people who are downtown and the businesses that are downtown and the folks who want to get around downtown? It's sort of a customer centric approach. I said, we asked what would make the service more appealing? Because some people just don't like the bus. So we want to know how we could fix those things. And the group came up with a new route. And Wave said, Paul, if you can get everybody to agree, then we'll do this. And so we created a new route, and we've had tremendous success with it. We had only 5 months before the COVID hit, where we had the new bus, the new route, new signage, and everything. And during that time, ridership was up an astounding 71%. And that contrasts with Wave, which has been losing ridership at a 4.5% rate. So all of you in business, can you imagine if you have something that's losing at 4.5% and then something that's growing at 71%, you know what I think about that? Unfortunately, the consultants who have been brought in have suggested that we get rid of the trolley. They don't like it, and they want to eliminate that along with a whole across the board slashing of Wave service. So I think it's time that we find a way to communicate with elected officials, the city and county level, to say the trolley is really a great service. It's a big improvement. It's attracting customers. And that's what we should want for the entire Wave system, something we need as the area gets more crowded and more traffic. We need other ways for folks to get around. The trolley, Route 203, is showing us the way. And so we need to alert them to that, alert them to the value of the service. And as Terry says, we need even more service. We need more than just a every 40-minute service. But right now, we need to communicate the value of keeping that service. For those who aren't familiar, it starts at the Paget station up on North 4th, heads up 4th, crosses over 3rd Street near Hallett, comes down by the apartments up there, flats on front, past PPD, all the way down front to Castle, turns up Castle to 5th, heads down 5th to Greenfield, over to front, and back up front. And so it's covering a lot of territory, but it's designed to cover that territory as quickly as possible. It has a new vehicle, which doesn't sit as high, has nice wooden benches in it instead of plastic seats. And it's been a great success, but we want to keep that going. And I think it's time, as Terry says, to raise a trumpet. I'll take any questions or.
Paul, I have a question. In various discussions, is there a timeline, a deadline, a drop dead date from the?
Well, the goal for the new route system is to come into effect July 1. And that's a very, very ambitious goal, but it could come in that, it could be that soon if.
For them to eliminate it.
Yeah, or reduce it to a part-time basis a few months of the year.
Right. So have they said, okay, if they eliminate it and they've already made this investment of a couple $100,000 on these vehicles, what would they do with those vehicles? Is there an alternative?
Well, that gets tricky. Most of the way vehicles are purchased with federal money, and if you're not using the vehicles, the feds want their vehicles back. So that would be a question which will, I am sure, enrich several lawyers to figure that out. But this would be kind of eliminating things. I think one of the things that trolley, because, it's kind of ironic, because you have these business people involved in it. Some people seem to see this as something just for the business, but I've ridden the trolley many times, and it's great because it has tourists on there. It has, working people. I mean, people who do work, who ride it. It has, young folks on it. One of my last rides was a whole bunch of folks who boarded up near Flats on Front apartments because they were going down to Greenfield Street to enjoy a adult beverage or two. And of course, this is before COVID, but it's been really useful. It stopped one day. It got hailed with the trolley. You can hail and it stops anywhere. It got hailed one day in front of a short-term rental. And it was sort of like one of those clown car things where all these people came tumbling out of the short-term rental house and got on the bus, and then they took it to go off somewhere for dinner or entertainment or that sort of thing. But I think because it's had all those business advantages, they don't recognize that it's also moving a lot of people around. People on North 4th have much better access, and the north side have much better access to jobs downtown along Front Street. People on the south side in Greenfield Park area have access to those jobs. So it's, it works for people who are working. It works for the tourists. It works for people who live around here. So it's really been a great success numerically, but also kind of socially and philosophically. And so we need to emphasize those points.
Paul, who do we contact and what are the best methods to contact people?
Well, somebody on here may want to comment on that, but I would say contact the members of the city council and the county commission. And I'll turn it over to Margaret because you raised your hand.
Hi, Amy. A couple of things. And I texted Terry the other day about this. For the first time, I really heard, and Eris may know more about this than I, that the latest talk is to run the trolley only June through November. And so I think maybe DBA amongst your membership could sort of poll people and get a sense on whether you think that's appropriate or not enough or whatever. I think there's some issues. I think the city council is very supportive of public transportation. It's a bigger issue really than just the trolley. The city council understands it and is supportive of it and understands the need for it. I think, and I don't think our Deb or Rob, neither one of them are on here, I guess. I think the county commission is really the key to this, and understanding how important just the entire public transportation and bus system is. And that has to be preserved and enhanced. And that includes the trolley. The trolley from the consultants was an add-on or something, Paul. I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it was some sort of add-on for $250,000. So I think we need to preserve, first of all, public transportation that includes the unincorporated areas outside of the city so that people that need public transportation can indeed get to the northern campus of the community college, so that the people that have no transportation can get to the jail to either work or visit people or whatever. And there are other places. I think it's kind of a crazy idea from the consultants that people in Monkey Junction or elsewhere, they're going to pay for them. I think this is right. They're going to pay for them to take Uber to the closest bus stop. Did you get that, Paul? So, nobody's going to want to get out of an Uber and go stand at the bus stop. I don't know. It seems bizarre to me. So in the past, and you've read all of this in the paper, I'm sure, and elsewhere, the city has had to cough up like 3 times the money that the county has to just keep WAVE in business. Now, WAVE did get some CARES money. They got a substantial amount of CARES money, and that is going to sort of get us across the divide here of trying to figure out what's the best route for the future. No pun intended, but what's the best way to do this for the future? I think the important thing is, what is the long-term funding process for WAVE? And everybody that lives in the city is a county resident. So there's no reason why the county should pay part and then the city should pay an additional part for taxpayers or whatever. There are a couple of options that are floating around out there. Because then that means that the city residents are paying something like 78% of the total cost, because you're basically paying twice. You're paying once for county and once for city. The couple of options that are sort of on the front burner, number one, which I don't think the county commissioners are going to support, but I think to me, it would be a good one, is this license plate fee. And the state allows them to do that. And they could have like a $5 annual fee or something like that. And that would make a long-term funding opportunity for WAVE. The other thing, which I think is gaining traction, is a small additional sales tax, like 0.5%. And the idea of that is that you would be getting money from the tourist, that you would be trying to generate some money, just not from property owners, because in the city, that's pretty much the way we fund things. So that, I think, is gaining some traction. And that, Eris, you can jump in on this, but that's going to be, I think, the decision of the future in trying to work through that with the county. And the city and the county really have a desire, I think, with the new county commission to really work together perhaps more and try and all sort of row in the same direction here for the benefit of everyone. So I would say email. Calling is tough because everybody's busy and nobody wants to pick up the phone to people they don't know. But I would just an email, and it says, I hope you're going to save WAVE. Let's find a long-term funding so we don't go into this every year of a panic mode where the city has to cough up, almost $1 million. So it's certainly worth saving. I personally am very much for the trolley. I believe that they should run both trolleys. And if one of them breaks, then you're down to one trolley, but why not run both of them so you have 20 minutes? And if one of them falls apart, then you're back to 40 minutes. But that seems to fall on deaf ears. Anyway, I think get in touch, email your county commissioners and your city council members. Eris, you have anything to add to that?
I don't, Mayor Pro Tem, I think you did a great job. I do think the real focus is the sustainability of WAVE. Don't get so, we want the trolley, but we've got to sustain WAVE, and we've got to sustain WAVE in a way that it is not coming every year in crisis. We did a great job when we did get the trolley route changed and that we were able to expand it further and that type of thing. That was awesome. I think we did do, we increased ridership. That tells you that was a good move. However, every year when the whole system is in jeopardy, it makes it very hard and it makes it very vulnerable. And I really do think we've got to look at opportunities to sustain this system as a major transportation resource in our community. It's critical. It's something that we really need. Believe it or not, there are people that are moving downtown that don't drive. They don't want to drive. They want to be able to jump on a trolley and go from place to place, and that's great. But I think we've just got to be supportive and don't lose sight of the big picture here.
I think it's going to be even more vital when the North Riverfront Park comes online, and you're going to have events there that hold 5, 6, 7,000 people or more. Those people are going to have to get down there by some means of public transportation. There's more parking, and there's parking that's coming online, but it's going to be a lot easier if people park out and like down near Greenfield or somewhere and jump on
Yeah, you also have that deal with Live Nation that's going to support both Greenfield and that. And that's going to elevate even Greenfield Amphitheater to move around and move people. One other thing, two things. I agree with you, Eris and Margaret, Mayor Pro Tem, that the wave is you have to sustain them in order to keep the trolley healthy. I don't know the answer to this, but I would hope that the Chamber of Commerce is also maybe making that something that's a priority to get out to the overall, Wilmington community, business community. DBA kind of focuses on the downtown, and that's why the trolley is such a big issue for them. But one of the things I noticed, because again, I engage with a lot of the businesses down there, is we need to do a better job at informing the businesses to promote the trolley also, and to also promote how they can use it for their customers to park in the deck, travel from here to there and everything. I talk to many businesses and then I'll say something about, well, how about the trolley? And they're like, well, I don't even, where do I go to see it? How do I? And yet the Wave has there's a great app for the trolley. There's a lot of tools that our business owners in downtown could be utilizing to continue to elevate the existence of the trolley.
I think that's one thing that Holly, I don't want to speak for you, but I know that you've met Natalie English at the chamber, and I'm think you all are going to have a pretty symbiotic relationship there. So if you could work with Natalie on that and trying to get the word out past, I think Joan is right. The word has to go out past just the downtown area, and trying to encourage everyone to support that opportunity.
If I could add one or two thoughts. Joan made an important point about marketing the trolley. One of the things that Wave has not done traditionally is to market its services, to go out to for all of its routes all around town and say, here's a route near you, here's a route, a bus that can take you somewhere, to put a flyer out at apartment complexes, just find some way to get the word out that Wave is there and it can be used. One of the things that helped so much with the trolley success was that DBA and the Arts Council and Row and everybody else went out and said, oh, try this thing. And people did. And of course, that has to be sustained and all of that stuff. And then one other comment, following up on Margaret, about the whole system. People don't like to have numbers, but I got to give you numbers. I'm an accountant, right? So I got to give you numbers. Back in 2011, Wave carried about 1.2 million passengers, 1.2 million passengers a year. By last year, in the before time, that number was down to under 800,000. It had lost a third of its customers. And if it carries on losing customers like that, it's going to be really going to wonder about the value of Wave. So there's a need to increase ridership and increase their approach system-wide. When you talk about funding and that sort of thing, if we could increase ridership back towards its peak, we would have a lot more money coming in the front door in terms of fare box revenues, and then also federal money that goes along with fare box revenues. So, to me, the critical issue is to get Wave to find ways to increase ridership, because that'll make it better for everybody to get cars off the road. It'll be a better service, and it also improve its financial situation tremendously. And so there's a lot of business needs that we need to work on with Wave.
Yep.
I'd like to make a little business. I'd like to make a business comment. I don't know what, sorry, I hit my video off. Because we're in South Front, we're the artwork, so we're part of the downtown Fourth Friday Gallery Nights. But in addition to that, there's those apartments there. And before the pandemic, there were all these professionals taking the trolley downtown to work. Well, during the pandemic times, these last 10 months, they're working from home. So the ridership's got to be down because of that. So I'm going to go the email route, but we all need to pay attention to these outlying districts that are part of the trolley. It's not, if they cut it down to some tourist route, it defeats the whole purpose of having
Exactly.
some tourist months.
Well, you know, this also, Betsy, you're right, because it's an economic, and Holly, it is an economic driver, because we worked hard to include the districts and expand from outside of the CBD, naming the North Waterfront, naming, or Riverfront, Brooklyn Arts, North Fourth and Castle, and really trying. And now you see Ken Tomaselli is a great example. He's invested as a businessman in these other districts. So to continue investment in those districts, like the Tribute Company that has taken over and took over project housing and made, you know, and everything, a blighted area, I think we need to continue along this route because it also ties into the economic of the area.
Exactly.
I will tell you on a broader basis, when businesses are moving to an area to relocate or open a division of their company, we've done site selection in the Triangle numerous times, and one of the requirements is it on a bus route?
Yeah, that's good.
It'll be a little embarrassing when we say we don't have buses.
Well, we're not going to end up in a situation where we don't have buses, okay? The city believes in public transportation and will continue to support that. The issue is getting the county to step up to the plate to support it. And as Eris and I have said, to try to create a long-term funding source.
I did see a suggestion there, Kelly. I mean, this has just been going on in the background here, but Kelly, Jordan, throw out there just an idea you had. I mean, this is how to keep the trolley lively in the downtown market.
Well, while I was listening attentively to everyone else, I sent an email to Terry and Joan about the idea of having a progressive dinner that includes that's for the DBA members and uses the trolley as much as a way to demonstrate the how to use the trolley, and it's as probably less touristy than like looking at just how to create an evening using the trolley to get from one place to another. And you know, you start with appetizers and a glass of wine, and then main course, and then dessert, and lots of different places. And what would be really fun is if then at the end it includes an art gallery, maybe with the wine and the cheese in the beginning, and then maybe ultimately it's at a concert or someplace. But it's something that we could all chip in and pay a price to package it up. And if it's a special route that the trolley needs to extend its hours or something like that, we could put that together. But it's a way to really show people how to use the trolley on a normal basis, just to park in one place and as was mentioned, and get all kinds of places in one evening safely and conveniently.
Yep. And Kelly, Paul, I think can attest to this, and probably Terry. I mean, pre-COVID, again, it's always that there was a coffee crawl, and it was a couple people in the coffee shops that all got together and created the coffee crawl. And they went out to the trolley and they coordinated. And it was if I'm not mistaken, Paul, it was the highest ridership ever that was created, because you had these hundreds of people doing, and it was only included about 8 or 9 coffee shops in the general area, but that was a very successful way, like you're saying, to get people, and even other events that take place, to include the trolley, to make sure they know how they can maneuver around.
Yeah.
It was very, very well attended, and the trolley was bouncing all over the place with all those caffeinated people.
Fill me in, does the trolley cost anything right now? I know it was free for a while.
Free.
No, it's, right now it is free. It's been free since inception, but I think that's, I think those days are coming to a close, and Wave is supposed to call this little group that worked on the new route together to talk about some sort of fee structure. And I'm hoping we can come up with something creative. One of the nice things about Trolley is it can be experimented with so that Wave can learn different ways to provide service. And so hopefully we'll come up with something creative for a fair that will, be good for generating some revenue and maybe to show a way to do fairs elsewhere.
A season pass would be really convenient.
Mhm.
Another thought I had was if you pay for parking in a downtown parking lot, your ticket stub counts for the trolley at that point in time.
Great idea.
That might be something, yeah. Need new ideas.
Mhm. Well, we had, I think one comment that came back to me was that we needed ideas to make the downtown trolley even a little more exciting and integrated. And this is not a done deal, but I'll just to give you an example how organizations work together. We discussed this at the Historic Wilmington Foundation Executive Board meeting. The potential of having, instead of, the organization has walking historic tours around town. John Pucci has the horse-drawn tours, but we're discussing how about having one of the tours be, say one or two on Saturday, one on Sunday, where one of the volunteers from Historic Wilmington who understands the history of the North Fourth and the Castle Street and the broader aspect of downtown be a docent on the trolley during those appointed times. See, Beth, who's leaving us, agrees with that. For those of you that don't know, Beth Rutledge, Executive Director of Historic Wilmington, is moving to New York. I've never met anybody leave Wilmington to move to New York.
An adventure. But to your point, Terry, I love that idea. We often, I live on the path of the horse-drawn tour, and I have heard folks say so many things that are just a little bit incorrect, just a little bit. And I love the idea of the Historic Wilmington Foundation being a little bit more involved and just like kind of helping in a positive way to share what's so phenomenal about our downtown. So thanks for suggesting that. We would be game. We have some, I can think of a half dozen folks right now who would be great at that. I love that idea.
That's awesome.
I do too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Paul, so you're going to send us Margaret's cell phone number and Sterling's.
Oh, Margaret's popping back up.
That brought Margaret back.
That woke her up.
We can get everybody's email out.
Yeah. Okay. We'll what, John?
Margaret, unmute yourself.
If you want to just send one email, you can send it to council@wilmingtonnc.gov. council@wilmingtonnc.gov, and everybody gets it.
And if you're passionate about what you write, the media might pick up on it.
And for those that don't know, anything you email to a city employee it's public domain. So
Public
the
record.
press, yeah. So don't be surprised if something ends up in the paper or you get a phone call, but always be aware of that when you're sending emails to these people. I think, Paul, thank you. We knew that for the last 4 to 5 months that things were in jeopardy. So I think it's time for the organization, the downtown people, to start, as we said, raise the trumpet and let's protect what we work so hard to integrate here. And I live in the county. I'm with you. I see people picking up on the buses. My son went, actually, if you think about it, the kids that go to Cape Fear downtown to get to the North Campus now, if the bus system is gone, they've got to drive. And a lot of those kids don't have vehicles. So I think it's very short-sighted if this does happen. But, well, Eris, are you awake? Not Eris. Wait a minute. Let me see who I have here. Where's Boucher? Lieutenant Boucher. There you are. So we always say that Lieutenant Boucher's job is to give us the good news about what's going on downtown. Tell us what's happening.
Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve despite everything closing down at 9. Just a few things. We do have 3 new officers that came to our unit in the past 6 months. We switched out. Officer Lewis ended up leaving the department. He's been replaced with Officer Miller. He's doing an outstanding job downtown. We also have a recent addition, Officer Patterson. He works this rotation at night. And then opposite rotation is Officer Kolk, and he's probably been down here for maybe a month or 2. So 3 new officers downtown. So I don't have all the stats yet for December, but I did run some reports, and really we're looking at like 49 incident reports that were taken downtown. Normally, I think when I was looking before, we were averaging like 70 reports downtown a month. So we're at 49 this month, and really there was nothing that was really glaring at me except for we had 2 calls for arson. One of them was on North 2nd Street, and somebody tried to set the window paper on fire, but it didn't set it on fire, so that's good. And I guess they left. So I don't know. I thought when I first read the report, it was going to be somebody that was trying to keep warm. But it looks like somebody may have gone into the business because the door was unlocked. It's under construction, and they tried to set fire to one of the window coverings. The second arson happened at Elijah's, and somebody, I think they threw a cigarette into the Christmas tree, artificial Christmas tree, and that caught on fire. But I think it went out. There was some damage there. But nothing that I'm seeing that somebody's trying to set buildings on fire or anything like that, but I'll keep a lookout for any other reports. We had like 3 assaults. 2 of them were they knew each other. They weren't necessarily domestics, but the parties knew each other. We did have 1 assault on a officer. We have had let me see how many larcenies. We had 8 larcenies. One of those was defrauding an innkeeper. We had 1 that was auto accessories. 1 was probably a prescription drugs. 2 were from a building, 1 from a porch, and 1, some beer was stolen at the family fair up the street. So really everything's looking pretty good. There's nothing that I'm seeing that's trending as far as our reports that for December. And this is up to whatever January reports have been submitted already. And just to give you an idea, I did compare how many reports we took in 2019 compared to 2020. For incident reports, which is just when they call and they need a report for an offense that happened. In 2019, we took 812 reports downtown. That's for the whole Wilmington Police Department. It's not necessarily just my unit, but 812 reports were for downtown. And in 2020, it was 646. For arrests, we had 895 arrests logged downtown. Some of those could have been at the police department. For 2020, it was 622 arrests. And then for citations written, we had 463 citations that were written 2019. And in 2020, we wrote 392. So we're still working downtown, even though things have slowed down a little bit. Next month, I should have the stats for the year as far as what we did comparing 2019 to 2020. I think a lot of those stats will probably be low, especially with the bars. Our assaults should be extremely low, just with the nightlife, not necessarily bars, but just with people out until 3 o'clock in the morning. So any questions?
Stephanie, for those people that might be on for the first time, when you talk downtown, could you give it the parameters of what you report these numbers on? What's the parameters?
Yeah, so I pulled all the reports. We call this District 1A, and it's pretty much like 5th Street down to the river, so 5th Avenue to the river. And then it's from Castle Street to like where MLK starts. So MLK and 3rd Street is kind of the borderline there. So that when I'm talking about downtown calls, usually when I have stats, I can talk about the Central Business District, which is a little bit smaller, and then the downtown adds a couple more streets to it. But with this meeting being so close to the beginning of the month, I don't usually have the stats available for this meeting, but I try to run the reports to kind of give you an idea. But I will definitely have the stats for next year, or I'm sorry, next meeting to see how we did overall for the year.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Also, I'm getting from officers, I don't know if you're seeing the same thing. It looks like we may have some of our nuisance people may have moved to other areas. I don't know if you're seeing a decrease in a lot of loitering downtown. But if you start seeing an area that's becoming an issue with littering, nuisance offenses, please let me know. We're trying to stay on top of them trespassing on property and other issues when they're violating the city ordinances. But I think it seems like they've moved somewhere or dispersed a little bit, but they are coming back downtown, of course, for meals, which is great. But if we can decrease some of the nuisance activity, that's even better. So if there's any issues that are cropping up, just please make sure you let me know so we can try to address that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lieutenant Boucher. We're going to take just a couple of minutes. Any member announcements? I know Tracy and Gerard, have you guys allocated all of that grant money for minority and distressed businesses yet, or is there still room for more applicants? Oh, you're muted, Gerard.
Which one of us talking? Whoa, so back.
One of you got a little feedback.
Okay. All right, so yeah, so we're basically it closed out on Friday.
Okay.
We're very excited. We had I think over 60 companies to apply, and now we are in the process of vetting them to get them in front of the selection committee. So we should know by Friday. Oh,
can you enlighten Tracy what?
Yeah,
what
we were
was?
very shocked and really surprised about the turnout because we had initially, our cohort's only going to hold 10 companies for each cohort. And so we had about 67 companies that have applied for the accelerator, and about 50% of them have been from New Hanover County, about 15% from Brunswick, about 15% from Pender. We were very shocked that we got a lot of companies out of Columbus, Bladen County as well, because essentially we want to cover services for entire southeastern North Carolina. So, and we had companies from Greensboro, Raleigh, and 3 from Wake County that have applied. So we're very excited about launching the first cohort on January the 28th. But now we want to partner with the city and our existing partners, because we see that there is a high demand for technical assistance services, for entrepreneurial services to help with the training and mentoring for these businesses. And a lot of these businesses have 1 to 5 employees. So we were shocked that over 50% of them have 1 to 5 employees. So that it is a very strong potential for small business to be a primary creator of job creation in the area. So we want to continue to build on that momentum.
Thank you, guys. Hey, anybody else got something to add? Does anybody need, we always say in our staff meetings, does anybody need help? Is there anything that is pressing that anybody in the group can do to help? So everybody's rocking and rolling and is going for that next round of PPP money, right?
We have a lot of talent within DBA. When you look around at members and everything, consider them maybe first when you need somebody IT experience, or you need somebody for printing, different things. We have a lot of talent right here within the Downtown Business Alliance that, and if you don't know, text Terry or email Terry, email DBA Wilmington dbawilmington@gmail.com, and we might be able to refer you to someone. So there's a lot of talent in our organization.
Well, guys, our next meeting is scheduled for February 8th. I feel like it's probably going to be a Zoom meeting again. And we're all counting down to the time that we can get back and enjoy our first 30 minutes of the meeting socializing. But right now, this is about as good as we can do it. And again, I know a lot of us, there's still a good number of people that are going to work and going straight home. They're very isolated. If you need support, please, please don't hesitate. Let us know if you're going nuts, you're ready to knock your spouse off or whatever. We understand. So again, thank you, Holly. Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to becoming friends with you. And Paul, we're stuck with you. So thank you anyway. But everybody have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll get the flyer out on the PPP follow-up. I know I'm going to be getting my forgiveness in tomorrow. Not that it's required, it's suggested, but definitely the restaurants, Brian, the rest of you guys take advantage of that 3.5 times payroll. Go get some of the money that you've paid out for years and years and years back. So everybody, have a great week. Look forward to seeing you on the streets.
Happy New Year,
Happy New Year to everybody.